People circulated through the densely packed city by way of narrow, winding alleyways that branched off the main street. Let's go explore one now. Enter the alleyway called Lady Stairs Close. Head for the Writers' Museum just a few steps straight ahead. This alley is just one of many branching off the spine of the Royal Mile. This one is a close, a tiny alley between two buildings, originally with a door that closed it at night. A close usually leads to a court or courtyard, and what do you know, here we are. Here you'll find the Writers' Museum. Inside the museum, you wind up steep staircases through a maze of rooms. There you can peruse first editions and keepsakes of the city's holy trinity of writers: Robert Burns, Sir Walter Scott, and Robert Louis Stevenson. These men not only created timeless literature, they were also instrumental in reviving Scottish culture. Burns was a farmer's son who wrote in the rough Scots dialect. His poems championed the simple virtues of the common Scotsman. Lisa, I know you love Robbie Burns.
That I do.
Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry.
Sir Walter Scott, who wrote popular novels like Ivanhoe and Rob Roy, helped popularize Highland culture. That Highland culture, the Gaelic language, kilts, legends, the system of clans, and so on, came to be seen as Scottish culture in general. Sir Walter was part of the 19th century revival, as the Scottish people forged a new national identity after years of English domination. Robert Louis Stevenson, an avid traveler, drew on his experiences to write thrilling adventure stories, including Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
On a chill September morning, the cheek of a brisk fire and the rain coming on the window, I began the Sea Cook, for that was the original title.
While these three dominate, there are other great writers with Edinburgh connections. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of Sherlock Holmes fame was born in Edinburgh and went to med school here. J.M. Barrie attended the University of Edinburgh before going on to write Peter Pan. And J.K. Rowling, though not born here, lived in Edinburgh and captured the Gothic feel of the city for her books about Harry Potter. Besides the museum displays, the building itself gives a glimpse at what a typical aristocrat's home might have looked like in the 1600s.
After a few steps, you reach Deacon Brodie's Tavern.
The pub's notorious namesake was a pillar of the community by day and a burglar by night. You can read about him on the plaque outside and see his picture on the hanging signpost. Make sure you check out both sides of the sign to see his spooky split personality. In a way, Brodie epitomized the split personality of Edinburgh in the 1700s. On the one hand, it was a rich, productive city, home to great philosophers and scientists, hosting the Enlightenment of the age. On the other, the old town was rife with crime and squalor. Brodie inhabited both worlds. He dutifully repaired people's locks by day, but at night he picked those same locks to fund his gambling addiction. This kind of split personality was captured by Robert Louis Stevenson in his famous novel Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Look left down Bank Street. The green-domed building was the world headquarters of the Bank of Scotland. Since 1695, the bank has practiced modern capitalist financing. These days, the Bank of Scotland is part of the larger Lloyd's Banking Group, and the building now houses a banking museum called the Museum on the Mound. Across the street from Deacon Brodie's is a seated green statue of hometown boy David Hume, who lived from 1711 to 1776. He was one of the most influential thinkers not only of Scotland, but in all of Western philosophy. By the way, if Hume's toe is shiny, it's because people on their way to trial in the high court behind the statue, or students on their way to exams in the nearby university, rub it for good luck. Now continue toward St. Giles, passing the lacy Victorian statue of some duke.
I believe his name was Lord whoever he was.
A few steps past the statue, look down at the sidewalk. Find a heart shape embedded in the pavement. It's near the street. Find it? The heart of Midlothian marks the spot where the door of the jail once was. As we mentioned before, in times past, this area around St. Giles was where criminals were hanged, traitors were decapitated, and witches were burned. Average citizens hated the rough justice doled out here. For that reason, locals still spit on the heart in the pavement. Go ahead, do as locals do. Land one right in the heart of the heart.